everybody. Thanks so much for joining. I'm so excited that you're here, and I have an amazing guest for you guys, Ashley Cox. Thanks so much for being here, Ashley. It's an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me, Valerie. And hey, everyone. So excited to have this conversation today.
Oh, me too. Well, let me introduce anyone who's listening to the live or to the replay about you, Ashley. You're doing such incredible work, and the whole mission of this show is to interview and highlight incredible leaders who are trailblazing and pioneering for a better tomorrow in our homes, community, and globally. And I just love everything you're doing, Ashley. Ashley Cox, she is a leader. She is a leadership mentor for women business owners who are ready to break free from overwhelm, build high performing teams, get their time back, and create businesses they love. Ashley is also the author of the book Transform Your Stories and a host of the Impact Ripple podcast. So thank you so much for being here. Tell us about yourself, and would love to chat with you more about all the incredible work you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you. So, like you said, I'm a leadership mentor for women, and I have been working in human resources and leadership development for almost 20 years now. And helping women become stronger leaders to find and reclaim their voice, to stop working 14 days a week is such a passion of mine. And I think that we have so many amazing and unique and special qualities about us that perfectly sets us up to be exceptional leaders, that I want to help every woman find what is special and unique inside of her in order to be the leader that she was really born to be.
Oh, I love that. And there's so many leaderships roles in life. I feel like there's just so many opportunities to just show up with leadership, and also leadership of yourself as well. I feel like.
Yeah, I had several people read my book when it first came out, and they were like, "I don't have a team, but I wanted to support you, so I got a copy." And I didn't realize how much it was about leading yourself, because leading other people always starts with you. And that you're so right, Valerie, in that we have so many different leadership roles. You may not have the job title leader or manager or supervisor or whatever, but you might be a leader inside of your home. You might be a leader inside of your religious organization or community, inside of your volunteer organizations or efforts. There's so many different ways that we can really claim our role as a leader and use our voice to advocate for the things that matter for us and to us and to our families and neighborhoods.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Well, Ashley, tell us, why did you decide to become a leadership mentor?
I really feel like my journey started back when I became a leader for the first time at 22 years old and had no clue what I was doing. And at that point in your life, your brain's not even fully formed yet. So you're really just struggling to be a human, let alone lead other people. And I started as a co-manager in a grocery store, and we had over 350 employees. So talk about like really being thrown into the deep end. And I didn't have a lot of leadership support. Like my supervisor was not a good support for me. I didn't get a lot of support or training from the company on how to be a leader. I got a lot of training and support around how to run a grocery store and how to bake chickens and, stock produce and build displays and make sure the front end POS system was working and all of those things. But how did you show up every day and lead other people with inspiration, with motivation, with compassion? And often I was told that I was too compassionate. And so I had to kind of reconcile that within myself, like, well, how do I lead people and not care for people? That didn't feel right to me. And so as I went through my journey, I learned, oh, it doesn't have to be that way. Like you can be both compassionate and assertive, ask for what you need, get the help, build accountable teams, have hard conversations, and still keep your humanity. And
Mhm.
for me, at the end of the day, like the reason I do the work is so that I can help other women see you don't have to lose yourself or your humanity in this work.
Oh, I love that. And I think that's so true. And I know that you describe a courageous and confident leader. And
Mhm.
that's kind of like, as you're talking about that, I think about those two words. And I think those are such powerful two words. Can you talk with us more about that?
Yeah, I think it takes courage to be a leader in any way, shape, or form. And this means being brave, um, being able to show up and have the hard conversations that are going to help you and your team both grow and to be successful. Being confident is all about not always having the answer, but not being afraid to go find the answer or to collaborate with your team to get the answer. And I think a lot of times people think like, "Oh my gosh, confident leader, I have to be, I have to know everything. I have to have all the answers. I have to be able to, respond immediately when my team comes to me." But it doesn't mean that at all. Sometimes it means being able to sit back and say, I need to sit with this for a minute. I don't have an answer for you right now, but let me sit with it and really be thoughtful and think through this, and then I'll come back to you. And sometimes that's the confidence and courage that it requires to be a good leader. And sometimes that's the hardest part is being able to say like, I don't have an answer right now, or I need to think about this because I'm having an emotional response, or I'm feeling a certain way about this, or I really just have no context or information in which to base a decision off of. And so sometimes it takes courage and, to be able to sit back and go, okay, I don't know it all.
Yes. Yes. I think that's so true. And Ashley, that maybe like kind of not this visual is probably not anything that I feel like with I have young kids that I'm dropping off at school all the time. I
Mhm.
keep thinking as you're talking, Ashley, of this visual of the kids being line leaders and how excited they get when they're the leader in the line and like how much pride I feel like they are like, oh my gosh. And like I think sometimes we lose a bit of that or we forget
Mm.
that like expansive feeling or whatever that is when like you're the leader of the line but actually like leading in a way. And I think like going back to that, I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of like the visual I'm thinking of as you're talking, Ashley.
I love it. I love it, Valerie. I think it's beautiful because a lot of times we, especially women, tend to feel the burden, the heaviness, the weight of it all. It's essentially like we're carrying the line versus leading the line.
Mm.
And so, man, that might make a really good post one day. Like I think this visual is something everyone can relate to because, the joy, the excitement, the enthusiasm of the child who gets to lead the line that day versus the heaviness, the weight, the overwhelm of what it feels like to try to pick up every single person that's in that line and carry them all around. And that's not what they need. And that's not what your role is.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. That's so true. And that like can quickly lead to burnout, I feel like
Mm.
that's just so hard to do. And that brings me actually to a question I want to ask you about. You help women break free from overwhelm and essentially build businesses they love. And I would love for you to talk more with us about all of that.
Yeah. So hands up if you've ever felt overwhelmed by your business. I'm included. And also I think that that comes naturally when it's something that you've built from the ground up, right? Like you feel you've put your heart and your soul and blood, sweat, and tears, literal like buckets of tears into these businesses sometimes that we build or into your families or into your communities or whatever it is in life that your role is that you've built something. And it can be really hard to start letting some of that go and asking for help. And that's the part in especially building businesses that I love to help women with is you've built this so amazingly well. And now it's time to get the help that you need and that you deserve. And so it moves from being a me to a we. And so if we want to continue to build those businesses in our own context of our own goals, and that might be you build a multi six figure business, that might be you build a seven figure or a multi seven, eight, nine, 10 figure business, whatever your goal is, there comes a point where you might need help. And that's the part where the overwhelm really starts to build, right? Because now you're not just responsible for the business, you're responsible for all these people inside of the business, whether they're contractors or employees or team members that kind of come in and out. And so at that point, it's allowing yourself to think of how do I help the people on my team grow, not how do I, let go of all the things and get all the help in the world, right? Because sometimes that difference in the way that we frame things in our mind can make a big difference. if we think about me, I'm getting help, I need this, I have to ask for this. A lot of times we're going to step back and go, oh, but that feels greedy. That feels selfish. I don't want to burden other people. I don't want to, put this is my responsibility. But if we think about people coming along to help us fulfill that mission and who want to live to create the goal that we've put in mind. Like, what is your impact? What are you doing in this world? How are you helping other people? That vision is what's going to draw people to you like a moth to, like a moth to light. Like, people are going to see that vision. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, I want to be part of that. That sounds exciting. That sounds amazing. That feels values aligned for me. And so when we really cast the vision and we draw people into us, we get to let them be part of that and get to be part of growing and reaching and striving for those goals. And so then it's not just all about me, it's about we. It's the context of how are we able to create something meaningful and impactful in this world.
Hmm. I love that. I think that's so true. And I feel like so many visuals that like that I think of when you refer to all of these things of not me but we. And another one that I'm thinking of is like when I'm running a race, like I've been doing a few races recently and just like
Mhm.
all the encouragers and supporters and like how it is kind of like a community almost like you're
Mhm.
doing this race yourself, but also other people are helping you along the way and like
Mhm.
just kind of leaning into that and allowing them to like support you and encourage you. And it kind of gets you to the finish line, if that makes sense in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think, we all have our own race to run, right? Mine's not going to look the same as yours. It's not going to look the same as someone else. And sometimes that comparisonitis can create even more overwhelm for us. And so
Yeah.
what I love to like help women do is just ground into their values. Who are you being? Who do you want to become? And how do we craft a business that is really just foundationally built around those values, because that's how you build a business that you really love, one that you're not trying to escape from, one that's not overwhelming you or running you over, or you're working 14 days a week or whatever, whatever the outcome is. And
Yeah.
so when we can think about, these are my values, then we get to make decisions from that place of values. We get to coach and support people from that place of values. We get to offer products and services and goods from that place of value. And so everything starts to feel really aligned. And women are really great at talking in our values. Women are not always great of living through those values when it comes to running our businesses, because we've often worked in toxic work environments. We haven't seen this demonstrated. And we have a hard time sometimes seeing, like, well, what else is possible for me? And so my role a lot of the times isn't telling you what to do. It's asking you, well, what does your heart say? What do your values say? What feels like the right thing? What if this wasn't the way that it had to be? What if you could do something different? What would that look like?
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so true. And I actually just started thinking about that in myself, Ashley. Like,
Mm,
I feel like now that I don't know, I feel like I'm at this kind of like crossroads in my life where my kids are getting older. Now I'm like, okay, well,
mhm,
what do I do now with my career? What do I do next? And like, I love this platform that I built. I want to continue this, but also what do I do next? And like, one of my friends had mentioned that, like, well, what are your values? What do you
mhm,
value? And I think when you ask yourself that, it really puts things in a different perspective as opposed to, are you making this decision by like, do you feel like you need to, or maybe this
mhm.
past life or, part of you that like maybe that doesn't serve you as much. And I think that is so spot on when you think of, how do you live in your values and how do you make your decisions in the way you are leading, like you're
Mhm.
saying, in those values.
Yeah, yeah, and it's so easy. I mean, I'm victim to it as well. You show up online one day and somebody's doing something really cool or like impressive, or they're showing you their receipts, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, my business isn't remotely close to that. Like, should I be doing something different? Should I be building something bigger or more, this, that, or the other? Should I be offering, 15 different services instead of one or two?" And so we can easily get wrapped up in building our businesses around that comparisonitis of what are other people around me doing. And I tell you, I've been so much more happy and more successful building a business that fits my personality, my needs, my lifestyle, versus trying to always be keeping up with the Joneses, so to say, of like online entrepreneurs.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I can absolutely see that sparkle in you, Ashley. I can see it. And it makes it very like infectious to other people. Like I think that's
Mhm.
amazing that you're doing that and you're leaning into that and helping other women with that
Mhm.
as well. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And actually, I would love for you to tell us about your book and about your podcast. Tell us more about that, and also like where we can find your book and where we can take a listen to your podcast as well.
Yeah, thank you for asking. Well, this is my book right here, Transform Your Stories. I won't turn around and get it because I'll probably fall out of my chair, just to be honest. So, Mama didn't name me Grace for a reason. But Transform Your Stories is a really personal book. Like it was a very vulnerable experience writing this book for me, and I share a lot of stories about how I've dealt with toxic stories I've told myself over the years, whether they've been things that I've learned societally, things that other people have said to me, things that I've just imagined on my own inside of my head, why I can't do something, can't be something, don't belong somewhere. And so I share a lot of personal stories. I share stories from friends and clients as well, all anonymous, except for my stories. I call myself straight out. But I talk about, what those challenges, what those stories kind of held me back from doing and how I started to change those stories because it all started with just really questioning like is this true? Is this true about me? Am I too much? Am I not enough? Do I belong? Do I not belong? And so from there I really walk through a lot of different examples and methods and ways of overcoming those stories and really taking yourself out of that toxic story cycle where we have a story that we believe to be true. One of mine is when I was growing up, I was always told I talk too much. Now I get to talk for a living. So joke's on y'all. Right. But I that held me back in a lot of ways because I wasn't able to advocate for myself or ask for what I needed or use my voice as a leader. And so, those toxic stories, they come up in our lives in some way, shape, or form from past experiences or things that people have told us. And then we look for confirmation that that is true. Oh, see, in this situation, like I talk too much, or in that situation, I was too much or not enough or whatever. And so we feed that toxic cycle. And so I wanted to allow women to be able to say, wait a second, I kind of see myself in that, or I've done something similar and it's held me back in these ways. And so we work through steps together to break out of that pattern so that you can move forward and be not free from them. I always say, like, I don't promise that you're going to be free from toxic stories, but you're able to be more self aware of them. You're able to notice them more quickly. You're able to process them and work through them so that they don't hold you back anymore. So you can find my book at ashleycox.co/transform. And then my podcast is The Impact Ripple, and I'm looking forward to having you on the show one day, Valerie. But the Impact Ripple podcast is kind of what we've been talking about here. It's about how are we showing up in the world, and how are we creating impact? Are we, the impact that we have doesn't just stop with us. It impacts our teams, it impacts our families, our teams' families, our communities, the world around us. And so showing up as a leader, being confident, being courageous, breaking through that overwhelm, figuring out how do I build a business that is not just a money making endeavor, but really a business that creates impact in the world, whether that's through the way that you treat your people or that's through some other philanthropic endeavor that you have. I have a lot of folks who want to build some sort of like pro bono or philanthropic branch into their businesses or start a nonprofit organization or something like that. And so we get to talk about a lot of those things and just the way that we're showing up and being in this world.
Oh, I love that. That's amazing. And I am so excited to check out your book as well as your podcast. I just love, I feel like, like when you meet those people that just like you connect with, that's how I feel like with you. And like, I know we have connected on like so many things and also like the plants that are behind you. I have connected. There's some plants behind me as well. But I feel like even as you're talking, like some of that can really, like with the, when you're planting seeds, you're doing these things and you don't want to like keep planting them like over and over again.
Mhm.
You wanna let them grow and give them light. And I really see you giving that light to other women. And I think that's just so beautiful, Ashley. And I just love everything that you're doing.
Well, thank you. I feel the same way about you. And congrats to my fellow authoress,
Ah,
Valerie, on your book, To Mom is to Love. I bought a copy for my sister. I'm not a mom, but she is a mom to two young girls. And she got it just the other day. And she was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And just being able to support you and the amazing work that you're doing and the way that you're supporting moms just is so meaningful. I work with a lot of moms in my business and I love helping women create businesses that support the working mom because you get to be the person that you were meant to be alongside the mom that you were meant to be. It doesn't have to be one or the other, and you have so much value to offer to the world, and I think that your book is going to help women really show up and use their gifts in meaningful ways in their families and in their lives.
oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And
Of course.
I love the word authoress. I have never heard of that word, but I am going to use that now.
Right?
We are fellow authoresses or
I love it. I love it.
amazing. And Ashley, I would love for you, is there anything else as we wrap up here? I feel like I can talk with you all day, but I would love for you to share with our listeners, whoever's listening live or to the replay, like where they can find you, anything else that you would like to leave with us before we go.
Yeah. So my website is scrolling on the bottom of the screen, ashleycox.co. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at ashleycox.co or connect with me right here on LinkedIn. I would love to continue the conversation. If you feel like this is kind of your vibe and you're looking for more support and just being able to show up in your full humanity as a woman, as a leader, as the mom, as a human being and inhabiting this planet, I love to have those conversations and I love to cheer on the people that I know and that I get to connect with on the internet and around the world. So come be friends.
Yes, I love it. I'm so happy we met. And a big shout out to Andrew Stout. I know he was on earlier. Thank you, Andrew, because Andrew connected both of us together. And like, I just love Ashley and Andrew. You're amazing. So thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much to Andrew. Thank you, Valerie. I love this conversation and I love you already. I know we've only known each other for a short period of time, but you're doing amazing work and I feel like we're going to be dear friends for a long, long time.
Same. Well, thank you so much, Ashley. And thank you, everyone who is listening. And I'll make sure to include all this in the comments so you can check out everything that Ashley's doing. I definitely encourage you to connect with her and to check out all of her amazing work. So thank you so much.
Thank you.